Hi everyone, welcome to Module 1, Introduction to Theories of Personality. So this video, I'm going to go over the slides for this module and then kind of discuss what we're going to be focusing on throughout this class. So if you give me a moment, I'm going to share my screen. And I'll go over the PowerPoint. Let me just enlarge this to the full screen. So again, this is Introduction to Personalities. My name is Josh Manjan. I'm a mental health counselor with a private practice in Gorham. I've been teaching theories of personality, I believe, since 2017 or 2018 for the SBS program. So this is just kind of explaining what this class is, what to expect, and really provide an overview of what do we mean by theories of personality. So what is this class? Well, again, the title is we're introducing ourselves to these theories of personality. So I'm going to focus on what I mean by personality and what I also mean by theory. So personality is a term we use quite a bit, especially in the social behavioral sciences. You'll hear this even outside of academia, how someone describes themselves and how they understand themselves using terms from personality kind of conceptions and theoretical orientations. So how I'm going to define personality is a person's psychological mechanisms that promotes patterns of emotions, cognitions, and behaviors. So with human beings, we are very complex, but all of us have experienced feelings, thoughts, and actions with our behaviors. So those patterns and kind of we're taking a holistic view of it is what we're defining as someone's personality. Personality is essentially what explains the psychological makeup of the individual. What makes a person tick, what makes a person unique, what psychological components influence how this person sees the world, makes sense of the world, and acts upon the world. And so we're going to be covering major theoretical kind of perspectives that focus on various portions of the patterns of emotions, cognitions, and behaviors. So some theories of personalities are going to focus a lot on how someone thinks about themselves. Others are going to be more about the emotions that play into the role of a personhood, and then as well as how someone behaves and acts. So from a theory perspective, we're going to define the word theory in this class as ideas and concepts that have some sort of either empirical / scientific background and or philosophical based systems that help explain, predict, and provide directions for growth and change. So on one hand, we're focusing on what makes up someone's personality, and with a theory, we can explain how that personality was developed, what maintains that personality, and how can we influence and change this. So this class is broken up into 6 modules, and the first 3 modules are really focused on the kind of scientific and empirical backgrounds of how we study personality. So we want to understand it, we want to study it, we want to learn it. The textbook by Funder. Funder is a classic empirical psychologist. He has his own personality lab. He focuses quite a bit on the research elements and classification of personality. As we progress throughout this class, we're going to enter the clinical theories of personality. And those theories are focused more on how someone grows and changes. Okay. So that's kind of my expertise is the clinical focus. I'm not the strongest when it comes to empirical research regarding personality, but again, kind of my foray is the clinical theories of personality. So theories of personality, again, are going to help us understand, predict, and influence how someone grows and develops. So it's important to understand that with anything in the social behavioral sciences, there's a lot of different terms we use that have similar meanings. So some researchers are going to use the term approach rather than theory. You'll also hear me use the word orientation, theoretical orientation. or modality may also be used as well. We're essentially talking about these theoretical systems, these academic systems that help us understand why people behave the way they do, why people think the way they do, and why people feel the way they do. So I'm going to move to the next slide. So with this class, we're trying to answer quite a bit of different questions. And we're going to provide different perspectives to these questions as we progress throughout this course. So the first one is, what makes up a person's psychology? So we're using psychology as this way. Okay, you have an internal world and I have an internal world. We all come from different experiences. We all come from we have different views, beliefs, opinions. Different events have happened to us. We've been raised in different social environments. So all those elements influence how I act as a person, who I am as a person. So we're trying to understand what makes a person's psychology. And again, with that, why are people different and why are people unique? As we'll find out too, as we progress through this class, there's also a lot of common characteristics that we share as a species. So we also want to understand what makes and creates these differences and uniqueness. Some perspectives are going to look at very biological, could be genetics, could be just DNA expressions. Others are going to take a psychosocial standpoint, could be how we were raised, the environments we were in, the social economic status, and then others may look at a more unconscious element of what needs or goals are we trying to achieve in this life. All those factors are going to create a unique individual psychological profile. The next component we're going to kind of emphasize, especially with the earlier portions of this course, can these differences be understood and can they be measured? So when we cover trait theories is the idea, yes, we can measure differences and create classifications on the different types of personality traits someone can have. As we finish up this course with Module 6, we'll talk about the social learning, cognitive, behavioral theories, and they're all about observation and measurement of personality differences, as well as how to modify and change personality traits and components. Another element is, how consistent are these differences? Is personality stable or is personality more flux? Some theoreticians, or theorists is probably a better way to say it, some theorists are going to argue that by a certain age, your personality is rather stable. Others are going to argue that your personality at any moment can grow and develop. With this knowledge, or excuse me, the next element is, with all this knowledge that we're going to talk about, can we predict how people will behave? And finally, with that, if we can understand where the behavior came from or the personality traits were developed, when they're expressed, then we have the ability to change it. So this is an intro course. The ability to change someone's personality or influence growth and development of someone's personality is covered more in depth with theories of psychotherapy and counseling, because typically growth and change of a personality, those are the clinical theories. So we're going to move on to the next slide. So it's important to understand that many of these concepts are not new to you. You've already learned about a lot of these theories and ideas from other courses, and just being human in daily life, you are trying to assess other people's personalities on a constant basis. So throughout our daily life, we try to understand the people we interact with, not only the other people, but ourselves as well. So we try to see if we can trust someone, work with someone, or when we meet someone new, hey, can they possibly be a new friend or new acquaintance? We are constantly trying to predict the future behavior of others. And we typically put people into categories through the use of traits. So traits could be funny, excuse me, intelligent, or artistic. We naturally do this in just the language that we use on a daily basis. So a lot of this, again, is not going to be new to you. What is new is observing it and trying to put it into well-established theories of personality. So again, You do this constantly, whether it's dating, politics, hiring individuals for jobs, making new friends, etc. We constantly are trying to understand someone, who they are, with the hope of being able to predict who they are. In some cases, we also want to change someone as well. So, with this too, I really want to give a caveat that you're going to learn a lot of knowledge in this course, especially how people tick. But it's important to understand that you do not have the strong theoretical orientation to use this in a clinical setting. So this is just an intro class. This is not a class designed where you have this knowledge where you can become a therapist right away or help someone grow and change using behavioral modification. No, this is just a kind of an intro course. There's a lot of nuances that we're not going to be covering, and there's a lot of technical experiences that we won't be covering as well. So really, this class, we're going to use a lot of the assignments are going to be focused more on your own growth and change, understanding your own personality rather than focusing on others. So, why do we study personality? With that, we're going to focus on studying the other, like I just said. Through the study of individuals, we develop the ability to understand why they behave the way they do, why they think the way they do, and why they feel the way they do. So, through this understanding, we believe we can predict their future behavior. There's a lot of debate on that, but that's the whole understanding. If we can understand the mechanisms that have created their personality, we believe, depending on the theory, we can predict how they're going to act in certain circumstances. So by knowing the why and the how of the behavior, we have the ability to change or promote growth for the individual. That's a lot of your classic theories, especially clinical theories, of how using counseling and psychotherapy, we can promote growth and change of the individual. Another component of why we study personality is to help understand ourselves. So with this information, we can apply it to our own lives. We can increase our personal awareness and insights into our own behavior. We can understand why we are more prone to act in certain ways in certain situations. With that, increased awareness has been well established to promote the ability of change of personality components. So with this new awareness, we have the potential and the choice to make alternatives with our behaviors. Again, this class is really going to be focused more on the study of yourself and how your unique personality has been developed, how it's been influenced, and if you so choose, how it can continue to grow and change. So again, I don't want you to come away thinking with this course you're going to become a personality mastermind who can understand anyone, anywhere, and then change their personality on a whim. That's not possible. This is just an introductory course. We're going to cover a lot of theories, and when we cover a lot of theories, we're going to really ignore a lot of the nuances. So as we progress, especially with the clinical theories, to be adequate in applying them takes years and years and years, and I'm not even exaggerating, years of study and application, especially with psychodynamics and humanistic theory. So we'll talk more about that. This is just give you kind of to wet your whistle per se and expose you to various theories with the potential, if you would want to learn more, maybe continue on with grad school or other trainings that go more in depth. So here's the course outline. So we're in module 1. This is the introduction. It's going to be about a week long, and the assignment and discussion for week number 1 is required because, again, it's just an intro discussion for this whole class. Going forward, of the remaining 5 discussions, you can pick 3 out of the 5. So this is a week-long discussion. Assignment is due Sunday, January 31st. All assignments are mostly going to be due on Sundays, except when we get to module 6. I'll talk about it as we get there. So after module 1, we'll get into trait theories. And again, trait theories is going to feel very common because how you describe your own personality or someone else's is using trait theory language. And that's going to be 2 weeks long. Then we'll enter biology of personality, focusing on more of how DNA, genetics, and biological and anatomical components can influence how personality is expressed and develops. And that, once we finish module 3, we're kind of done with the scientific empirical theories. And then with module 4, we're going on into the clinical. All the remaining clinical modules, so that's 4 through 6, are 3 weeks long because the clinical theories have so much information in them. And the assignments are going to be really more focused on kind of understanding how you have been influenced. And as well, when we get into module 4, we're going to be using psychodynamics to analyze fictional characters and understand how their personality has been influenced and developed from past events. So when we finish module 4, that's 3 weeks long, we're going to take a break from modules. So that will be March 22nd to March 28th. Because of all the chaos with COVID, this is a shorter semester and there's really no official spring break. So that's why I did not call it spring break. We're taking a break from the modules. So with this class, we have the ability to take a week off. And so we will. So there'll be no assignments due that week. But again, it's not an official spring break because I believe for USM, we only have technically Wednesday off. But just know for this class, we're taking a break from the modules. When we come back from that, we'll have module 5, that's humanistic, existential, and positive psychology. Again, that will be 3 weeks long. And then with module 6, we're going to finish up with behaviorism, cognitive theories, and social learning. So that module is in whole 3 weeks long, 2 weeks of class left plus finals week. So with module number 6, we have a discussion post and we have the final autobiography. There's no module assignment that are due May 7th, which is a Friday. Excuse me. Okay. So that's just kind of an overview of this course. I also have more in depth the makeup of this course through the syllabus. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. So just a reminder, again, for this week, you have discussion number 1, which is required because it's an intro. And then you have assignment number 1. All assignments, there's 5 assignments. They're worth 10 points each. They're always going to be due on Sunday of the end of the module. Module 6, there's no assignment. Instead, we have the final biography due. After module number 1, you have the choice to pick 3 out of the 5 remaining discussion posts. So there will be a discussion for every module, but once we get to module 2, you have the choice to do 3 out of the remaining 5 modules. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm going to stop sharing, and then we're going to end. Have a good day, everyone.